When people ask me who I think the greatest quarterback in NFL history is, there is no debate that I believe Peyton Manning is the greatest that has ever played this game. Okay, that might have been a little bit of a joke because, in all seriousness, I do think Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback that has ever lived. The level he's been able to play at for as long as he has, and all the accolades he's put up in between, are unmatched by anyone that's ever played. And I don't discredit that. As much as it kills me to say that growing up a Colts fan, I'm not that much of a hater, regardless of what some of you all may think on the podcast. However, it has come to my attention that even the biggest NFL fans don't realize how good Peyton actually was. In all reality, if I wanted to challenge the narrative of Tom being the GOAT, I can show you actually how good of an argument Peyton makes. So buckle your seatbelts because we're going for a ride, and I hope you enjoy. During his 18-year career for both the Colts and the Broncos, Peyton's 71,940 yards, 539 touchdowns both ranked third all-time on the all-time passing lists, only behind Tom Brady and Drew Brees, respectively. It's also worth noting that it took Peyton fewer attempts and fewer games to reach his numbers than it did the two above him. He's also gone on to be a 14-time Pro Bowl selection, an NFL record 5-time MVP, a 2-time Super Bowl champ, and was Super Bowl 41 MVP. When it came time for his career to be over, in 2021, in his first year on the ballot, the reported rumor is that it only took the Hall of Fame committee 13 seconds to decide whether or not Peyton was Hall of Fame worthy or not, and the rest is history. With such a storied career, it's hard to imagine that there's any blemishes to steer people away from thinking of Peyton as the potential GOAT. But obviously, the vast majority don't have him as that, so there clearly are. So let's get into those. The two biggest things that I consistently hear on why Peyton can never be considered the greatest quarterback of all time, both go hand in hand with each other. The one is that he's played with so much talent that there's no reason that he should have had the playoff woes that he has. So let's get into those two. From a talent perspective, on paper, absolutely, Peyton has played with a ton of talent. He's played with 3 Hall of Famers, Marvin Harrison, Marshall Faulk, and Edgerrin James, who are currently sitting in the Hall of Fame, with many of his other teammates could potentially getting the nod later on. He also played under Hall of Fame head coach Tony Dungy and had Hall of Fame general manager Bill Polian on his side. So with all that talent, it really makes you wonder how bad his playoff performances were for people to feel like that. Well, let's dive into that. His 13 playoff losses are the most of all time. And he didn't pick up his first playoff win until January 4th of 2004 against the Denver Broncos, which if you want to make a foreshadowing joke, be my guest. And trust me, he's had plenty of bad performances along the way. Given those two facts, I can clearly understand why others might steer away from Peyton as the GOAT. However, of all the other impressive numbers he's put up in his career, there's one that does not get talked about at all that may silence any of those critics. Over the course of his career, Peyton has won games at a 70% winning percentage, which is second most all time, only behind Tom Brady. Now, here's where things get interesting. Because God forbid he ever had to miss a game. Because in his absence, between both the Colts and the Broncos, they've won games at a combined 27% when he didn't play. That 43% win differential is the highest of any quarterback in NFL history. And to put in perspective, Tom Brady's win percentage differential is 6%. To give you another fact, the Patriots' win percentage when Tom Brady didn't play was 70%, which is the exact same as Peyton Manning's career win percentage and is higher than the likes of Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, John Elway, Dan Marino, Aaron Rodgers, or for short, basically any quarterback not named Tom Brady. But this isn't about New England or about Tom. This is about Peyton. So, given that statistic, I have two more questions. My first one, with all that talent he had, you mean to tell me they couldn't figure it out in his absence? And number two, pretend they could figure it out. Do you think that he would have had the playoff woes he did if the Colts or Broncos didn't completely shit the bed when he didn't play? You be the judge of that. However, in conclusion for me, Peyton had one of the best careers ever. And it's even more impressive when you realize how valuable he actually was. This is the one statistic of all the great ones he put up in his storied career that does not get talked about at all. And if it was, I think more people would realize how great his career actually was and would give him the credit that he deserves. And one more side note, this is one narrative that Matt and I are constantly talking about on the podcast. One of the bigger mistakes we make as fans is you look at a roster and see all kinds of big names and think, oh, well, that team should have won more than they did, this, that, whatever. However, we look too much about the names and the players and not enough about players that fit or the system that they're in. That's all the time I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this content. Be sure to like and subscribe to Less is More Sports YouTube channel. Follow Less is More Sports podcast on Spotify and Anchor. Like the social media pages on both Facebook and Twitter at Less is More Sports. And I hope you continue to like the content we were producing. If you don't, please leave a review in the comment sections below. And without further ado, I'm out.